Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning into our virtual P4Es on YouTube. I'm the Kaisai Marketing and Communications Coordinator, Jeremy Dorn, and we'll be briefly discussing how to use marketing, communications, and social media in your alpha today. First of all, just the basics. We'll be talking about everything from social media to newsletters to photos, and how those can all be utilized to recruit, strengthen alumni relations, and maintain a professional presence. Internal and external communication practices matter for all of those reasons and more. So, though your alpha might not have a dedicated position for it, there's almost certainly a brother who will be willing to handle the marketing and communications aspect of your alpha. It doesn't necessarily have to be a big job. So, first things first, let's talk about social media. Most undergraduates now are intimately familiar with all the major platforms, and probably even more than the central office is aware of because you were born into this generation. You understand technology, you understand social media, you're an expert, whether you know it or not. So, that said, I highly recommend using at least Facebook and Instagram, as those seem to be the two most popular platforms when accounting for a combination of undergraduates and alumni of Kaisai. And you don't have to post as much as the central office does or as much as you and your friends do. Managing your Alpha's platforms can be 1 to 2 posts per week just to kind of keep a steady presence and attract a following that will help you recruit and communicate. You can use free services like Hootsuite or some paid services like Sprout Social to make managing the Alpha's social channels easy. You can draft a post with graphics and links that can be scheduled to post at the same time across multiple channels. You can reply and interact from those hubs. So there's lots of ways to use those to not have to go through and do this individually on each channel or just on your phone. Now, even if you do opt to use a program like Hootsuite to manage your social media, make sure to just always double check that you're posting from the right accounts and clearing any content that you're not 100% sure about in terms of its impact, language, sensitivity, etc., with your Alpha's EC and or the central office itself. Now, on to newsletters. Sending even one digital newsletter per semester is an easy task. You can collect stories about your alpha, your brothers, the local community, your school, etc., and put them into a short, readable format for your alumni base. I think digital is the easiest way to go these days, but the central office can definitely help you with print versions if you prefer that or doing both. Either way, we recommend working with at least one member of your alumni corporation to edit and formulate your newsletters, just to get that non undergraduate point of view involved. As mentioned, the central office is available to help with all of this stuff, everything from editing to creating mailing lists to sending the newsletter itself. And we've also created a newsletter starter kit, which is available by request. Just email me, and you'll see my email at the end of this video, to get that information. Either way, I'd recommend trying to send two each semester, but alumni will be happy to be kept in the loop even a couple of times per year. It just does seem nice to start off a semester and end a semester with a little intro and then a little recap about your alpha's activities. Now, blogs and websites aren't really necessary for individual alphas, but the ones who do utilize them have found them helpful. This can even just be a place to host basic information like a short alpha history, relevant links, contact info, and your newsletter subscription button, for example. You can host your website or blog on WordPress with the central office. We already use a few alphas websites there. And as long as these are being checked regularly so that they're up to date, and in the case of blogs, being updated with new content a couple of times per month, you should be fine. It's just a nice catch all way for alumni and potential new members to see information about the alpha and get in touch with members of your executive council. Now, when it comes to design, content, editing, and more, like I've said on other slides, you can always get the central office's help. Don't be shy. Photos can be a tricky topic, so this is a big one. The first thing I want to mention is that you absolutely must know, in terms of quality, the original photo is always going to be the best version to use. That doesn't mean you shouldn't add filters or edit it to make it look a little better, but utilizing a screenshot of the original and then texting that to someone who then emails it to someone else who then forwards it to me will really diminish the quality and the size of the photo. So whether you're using it for your alpha's own use or sending it to the central office for a more national exposure, it's always better to send that original version. That said, you don't really need a fancy camera or editing equipment these days. Most modern cell phones do have great cameras built in, and they can take high quality photos on their own, so keep that in mind. Now, here's the big thing. When posting and tagging, be sure to tag the right people and make sure that they're okay being tagged. You don't want to put someone on blast accidentally because you shared a picture that they didn't want out there. If you're not 100% sure it's okay to post the picture, tag someone, or use a certain caption, just ask, whether it be the subject of the photo, your brothers, or myself in the central office. It never, ever hurts to double check. Now, on that note, this goes without saying, but inappropriate pictures of any kind should never be posted on alpha accounts. That includes photos of alcohol consumption, risque party photos, and more. If you have to consider the thought that, hey, this might not be okay to post, it probably isn't, but you can always check with the central office. We're never going to get mad at you for asking us. Where we're going to get annoyed is if you post something that shouldn't have been posted and then we have to do damage control. So, overall, one thing to remember about photos, and some more fun thought, is that the more photos you have and the more photos you keep, the better. You and I, for that matter, will be happy to have these large folders of photos that we can pull from for future social posts and other marketing purposes. Here are just a few other comms and marketing initiatives you can consider. Having a fully fleshed out comms plan is always helpful. This means that you have documentation on how to utilize communications and marketing for things like recruitment and alumni communications, design, and more. It helps to really have a dedicated social media calendar or a publication calendar, templates to work off of, stuff like that. Even if they're not super detailed, it kind of gives you a frame of reference and a checklist to follow, which is always helpful. So most alpha leaders should be briefed on the central office's crisis communications plan for utilizing in the case of a crisis or a negative story or event that we have to respond to. If you or your EC don't know about it, please reach out to me as soon as possible so I can give you the rundown. Number ones, at the very least, should be familiar with it. And the golden rule about the central office's crisis plan is that in times of crisis, if you're asked for comment or a brother is asked for comment by media, just forward it along to the central office and we'll take care of it. We'll try to keep you involved. It depends on the situation, but that's the safest route to go. Now, encourage brothers to utilize Kaisai networks like LinkedIn. This is a big one. I don't know how many people know that we have a LinkedIn group that's more than 4,000 Kaisai strong. You know, that's one really cool thing about being in a fraternity is that you have this built-in network and this built-in family of people who are willing to support you, whether you're in their industry or not. But they can at least offer advice, if not lead you to potential opportunities. And that's something I really want you guys to consider taking advantage of. Now, the last major topic of discussion in here is the why. Why have a formal marketing and communications plan in place? Why develop these social channels, these newsletters, and more? Well, it's pretty straightforward. You want to communicate with each other as brothers. You want to be able to communicate with other organizations, us at the central office, your school, your alumni base, parents, etc. There's a ton of audiences you have to reach. So this is a good way to show that you're involved, stay in touch with all of them, and kind of just have that constant presence available to look through. Now, it doesn't hurt that having a good communications and marketing plan also helps promote your alpha on campus and attract potential new members for recruitment or alumni donors, etc. So there are plenty of good reasons to have a good comms and marketing plan at your alpha. And of course, lastly, it's fun to share good news, brotherhood events, awards, and more. The central office really likes to repost those things and utilize them in the PNG to give you that more national exposure, but we need to know about it. We try to monitor the alpha communications, but there's a lot of you and not a lot of us, so send things to me via text or email directly, or just tag Kaisai Fraternity in your posts so we can reshare those things. Now, just to quickly recap what I want you to take away from this. First, maintain a fairly regular and smart presence on social media channels for your alpha. Remember to do things carefully and intelligently, but also keep that regular presence up. Also, try to develop at least 2 newsletters per year. We prefer 4, but we understand that's a big ask depending on the workload of the alpha. Alumni want to hear from you. They want to be involved. So try to give them at least 1 newsletter per semester. Okay, third, consider hosting your basic information, your newsletter, contact info, etc. on a blog or website. That's something the central office can help with, and it's a great landing page for all of your content. Fourth, take extra care with photos, captions, tagging, etc. Just remember that it's never, ever hurts to double check. It is a lot worse to post something that you think is going to be okay, but you're not 100% sure about, and then you get in trouble for it, than it is to just go ahead and take that 5 extra minutes to check with me. Next, have a formal plan in place for communications and marketing. It often gets forgotten, but this is an essential part of any organization's development. And lastly, I've mentioned multiple times, but don't be afraid to ask us for help. We love to get messages from brothers or alphas asking us to share something positive they did, or ask for help on the communications and marketing front, or anything for that matter. So don't be shy. Go ahead and reach out. That's my email, jdorn@kaisai.org. I appreciate you all listening. You can email me there anytime you want. And if you navigate to the Kaisai website's Contact Us page, you can also follow all of our social platforms there. And for more virtual P4Es, webinars, events like this that we've been putting up during the pandemic, You can check out other videos on this YouTube channel or go to kaisai.org/C19. Thanks for listening.